Hey everyone, just wanted to share with you my recent sketchbook. It's a very small sketchbook, and I was keeping it small because it was intended to be, I guess, experimental. I was moving away from doing larger scale sketches that took more time to doing a little bit more intentional research and just practice. So this little sketchbook has a lot of experimentational type sketches and just me thinking through things. So as you see here on my first page, it was just a floral arrangement. I think I was experimenting with composition at this time, and I still wasn't sure because I'm basically self-taught in these things. I'm looking at YouTube and I'm looking at Pinterest and all these other places where you find inspiration to learning more about composition. I think that's my biggest struggle right now. But anyway, this is just a little sketchbook of some of my compositional research type drawings. So I was, really just trying to figure out what looked good and how to utilize the space. I'm one of those people that I just go in for the subject. I put the subject down and then everything else is still white. But I'm trying to utilize the space, the whole page, and even if I don't fill everything, I want it to still be interesting. So I was working with gouache and still practicing some floral elements and things here that I may have come across. And I was still very unsure, as you can see from these pages. Let me go back a little more. Okay. Yeah, just experimenting. It took me a while to find a style that I felt. I always gravitate towards vintage. So I think my style has something to do with vintage. I know I'm already vintage because everything's AI now, but I love that's the classic look of the 50s, 60s, even the 80s. I like those old cover girls, the supermodels that had their face full of makeup and big hair. I like those drawings. So yeah, I wasn't sure, but something started to click. Like I just got tired of trying to draw the whole face, and I found myself struggling to create the face, and there were so many ways that they showed us on YouTube on how to draw a face and how to draw a head, and there's so many different techniques. It's like, oh my gosh. And it started to really get to me, like, why am I having this much trouble? I've been drawing for years and I still can't draw a face. And then something happened, and I think it happened right around here. This was the pivot. This was the pivot point. This was the last face I tried to draw. And I had drawn many faces, but for some reason this one was the most aggravating, and as you can see, it doesn't look very good. It looks very unsure. I was very unsure because this was a different angle, and that's the thing. I was trying out all these different angles because I wanted to challenge myself. I didn't just want to draw, portrait type things. I wanted the image or the composition or the subject to have a little movement. So I would like, images like these where the face is looking up, or it's looking on the side, or tilted, or whatever. And so I started practicing more of these, and I was really enjoying them, but I was still frustrated with the length of time it was taking for me to figure out the proportions and things like that. So something happened right around here. I went from here to here. And let me tell you what happened here. Here is where I felt something shift. Something spoke to me when I did this. I said, you know what? I'm not going to waste any more time with all of this stuff around the features. And I'm just going to focus in on just the basics. And I was amazed at what happened. It was so, what's the word I'm looking for? It was so realistic, and it looked so much like the person I was drawing. Whereas when I'm here and I'm focusing on the chin and the ears and the hair and the neck and all these different things, I'm losing the detail in the face and trying, because I would prefer that my portraits look like the person that I'm drawing. I mean, that's just me. I know it doesn't have to be that way, but that's, I don't know, it's my thing. I want it to look like the person that I'm drawing. So when I decided to eliminate all that other information going on around the features, that's when I was like, bam, I got it. And so I think I found my style. I think this is the sweet spot. This is where I feel I can take my time, and it doesn't take a lot of time to just grab the features. It really takes about 5-10 minutes to put this down, especially on this scale, because it's very small. It's not going to take that much time. So when I finally got this, I'm like, wait, why am I wasting all that time with hair and all that other stuff? I mean, I could still take the time, but it was making the whole image look out of proportion. I was spending more time fixing it than actually enjoying what I was, learning, So this was a pivoting point for me in my sketchbook. And as you can see, look at that. Look at the difference. Just one page before, I was struggling to capture this person's face, and then all of a sudden, this happens. I can play around with the angles of the head without all the frustration of capturing every single detail and just focusing on the features. And that's when it became more alive on the page, because I think this is kind of reflective of life too. I've heard people say this. You really do need to focus on one thing at a time. And maybe I will begin at some point reincorporating all the other aspects of the head, whether it's tilted or up or down, the hair, the different textures of hair, all sorts of things. But when I figured this out, like, I could just spend all the time I wanted on the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, and still not overdo it, because you can still go too far and really ruin a sketch or a portrait, because you're trying too hard and you don't know when to stop. But when I stop at just the right place, when the values are just right, and I'm like, okay, don't do anything else. Leave it alone. So that's when I started just focusing on the features. And then I kept doing that. And it began to look even more and more lifelike and more interesting and more engaging. And I found myself getting lost in it, because I was slowing down. Because I didn't have to capture everything, every detail, and everything. I just had, this was Marilyn Monroe. I don't know if it looks like Marilyn Monroe, but her face, I've done a couple of her portraits before that I felt were, pretty good, if I do say so myself. But when I just focused in on her features, I still wasn't happy, because I found that it didn't look like her, even though you kind of get a sense that it's her, but it really needs to jump out at you. I shouldn't have to tell you that you're looking at Marilyn Monroe. I think her face is one of the most recognizable faces, even if you're just focusing on her features. It should be immediate that that's who it is. So I just kept doing that and kept And this one was one of the funnest that I had done because I had started, like before, going in for just the features, the eyes, nose, and the mouth. And I was like, well, why don't I just try to fill in, because it's such a small space already. Let me try filling in the rest with something else. Some, simple lines, like, this one line is the side of her head. And this line is maybe her hair that's blowing up, or one line to suggest her shoulder, and one line to suggest the collar, putting in some shadow. And so this could be like, a jewelry ad or something, and you're just focusing on the jewels that she's wearing, and it becomes very minimalistic. I don't want to go too crazy with it. Maybe I can go crazy and I can add other stuff, but I think when it's finished, it's just finished. So this was one of those where I just started to reincorporate what was around the features to see if I can become braver and challenge myself to pick out the abstracts and things that might complement the features without taking too much attention away from it and taking too much time. But I remember David Dunton saying that many trees have died for his passion because it takes so much experimentation, and so many things are just not right until you find the one that is. So yeah, this is part of my journey, and so I just kept experimenting with the different angles and mediums, and just kept that going, even with flowers. See, so from this point I can just, if I wanted to add anything, because the cheekbones, they're right here, right? And you can just come down with one line close to the mouth, and that's all you need to finish this off. And the shadow of the chin will be right about here. Yeah. And I just kept going and going and going and going. I was really enjoying this, and I was able to do this in half the time that it took me to draw an entire head. Slowing down and being more intentional, and learning about the different values, how to find them, where to find them, where to look for the different, the nuances of light and dark. It was a very cool experiment. I'm happy that I found a new way to do it. This is the second part of my sketchbook, and kind of more of the same. I'm trying to add the ear now with maybe some jewels. I'm taking up more space on the page so I can go in for the details. And trying to apply that with flowers, just grabbing those big shapes and then putting in the little shapes, and then going in for the details with the little lines and the petals and things. This was just me doodling. I was practicing clouds with ink. I'd never drawn clouds before. I was trying to avoid them. But I came across this video with these different styles and artists who draw clouds. Like, they're amazing concepts of how to encapsulate something that we see every day, but we just never We take it for granted artistically, at least I do. But these were just some clouds that I tried to draw. And a well and a lighthouse. I was trying to branch out and try other compositions, other styles, other than just drawing humans. And it was okay. I think I miss, whenever I'm not drawing portraits, I kind of miss it. So these are just some small elements that I was learning. Lighthouse with rocks, sky and clouds. I'm still not where I want to be, but I applied one of those cloud drawing techniques that I'd learned, and it was actually not bad. Not bad. Could have been worse. Oops, I'm going backwards. It's just more doodling, butterflies. Nothing much on this page. Butterflies, flowers, leaves. Oh, these are images that I didn't finish because I just wasn't happy with something. Oh, let me tell you about my grays experiment. So, up until this point, I was doing a lot of simple black mixed with white to get my values, as we see in, let's use this one as an example. I was just using basic black and white to get these values. But then I found a video that talked about different kinds of grays, and I'm like, of course there are different kinds of grays. Why didn't I think of that? And so I started experimenting with, creating warm and cool grays, and I came up with these really nice, cool and warm grays here. And I was like, well, let me try it. So then I tried it with this eye, with this face here, that I'm actually gonna create a large one. So this was me practicing, getting ready for that, to see if I understood what I needed to do and how to mix those grays. And at first, when I put the gray down after I mixed it, I was a little confused. I was like, why does it look so dirty? But it does have this sort of a dirty effect. And but then when it dried, I was like, wow, oh, this is really nice. I was really impressed with how it looked after it dried. And I was sure to just go light at first, because what I did here, I made a mistake. I went into dark too fast, and I couldn't fix it. But I didn't really like the way this composition was going, and so I stopped, and that's the last one. But I fell in love with these new grays. And I had mixed a burnt umber with, was it phthalo blue? Yeah. And that's how I got this gray with some white. And I think this is the darkest of it here. And so I made sure not to go in all too heavy, too fast, like I did with the former one, but to just lay in very lightly and then go in a little bit darker and then darker and darker. I still think there are some darkest darks that I can, go in with here, maybe to accentuate the lashes or the pupil of the eye, or where the inside, like the inside of the lash would be very dark, I think. And you know, like the shadow with the nose, the shadow had different tones, like the closest to the tip of the nose there's a sort of reflected light, and then the cast shadow and reflected light back on the nose, etc. So yeah, I really like these new grays that have there's just so much to explore. I can't wait. I would like to try some of these bluer grays because I love blue, and I think that would look really pretty. This gray turned out really nice too, compared to the black and whites that were, you know, they're okay, but I think there's more of a statement here. It just feels warmer, like the face is really alive, like the skin, you know, it has a glow on it. And these look more, I don't know, like print, you know, like copy paper. Yeah, so yeah, that's my latest sketchbook and what I've been up to in terms of my artistic development. Yeah, so if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and don't forget to give me some of those composition tips and how I can learn to improve my compositions. Thank you so much. Bye.